All right, Corel, you are officially through 4 stages. You only have 2 more to go. Today was a big day with a lot of climbing, and that seems to be the theme of the event. So, my first question is, how did you feel this morning? How is the recovery going, and how are you feeling every morning?
Yeah, it's rough, and yeah, you just can't really, or I can't really recover from day to day, and I feel really smashed. And no matter what I do, using the Normatex and all the recovery aids, and try to fuel well, and foam rolling and all that, is just you just wake up beat up, and then you get on the bike and like I can't even move the legs over. How everything is so tight and the legs hurts. And the difficult part here is that every single stage starts uphill. So you basically go from start and start climbing, hit the trails, climb some more, and then the stage goes on. And so it's really difficult for me to just get going. And like I try to do some warm up, but then you still stay in the corral for another 20 minutes, so you just kind of cool off, and then you start riding, and it's tough, yeah. And so that's today was just another stage that started uphill. First started on the road, went out of the town, hit kind of like a forest road, which was just extremely rough, rugged, and steep. And you just kind of, and you are still packed with other riders, so you're just kind of riding, your easiest gear, and super steep, and you have to make these like extra pushes to get over stuff if there is something in your way. And then we hit the single tracks, which was really fun descent, but everything is so dry here and dusty, so you're basically riding in the cloud of dust. You don't even see the trail, you don't know what's underneath that cloud. And the trails are pretty technical here and rough, so it's just kind of like hoping for the best. Try to always be in the good position on the bike that you can react suddenly if anything comes from underneath. And but it was fun, fun single track descent. And then the first half of the stage today was kind of like up and down, and some fun downhill, some uphills. And then we hit a hill that the name was Vomit Hill. And again, it's just the perfect name for that hill because it's absolutely brutal. There's no way you can ride it, at least the bottom part, nobody can ride it. It's extremely steep and rocky, so then you start pushing the bike, you just ride until you get stuck, then you start pushing. But then you can get back on the bike, and I was actually able to ride the top part of the Vomit Hill, which I remember last time I couldn't do it because of the gearing, and we'll talk about the bike setup in another video. But so that was good, it was positive. And then all the big climbing came in the second half of the stage.
And did you have a tumble today?
Oh yeah, I had a tumble. Yeah. I kissed the trail. Yeah, it was just one of the switchbacky downhills. It was very dusty. It was like this deep, the dust and rocks, and just like a tight switchback, a little jump off, and just kind of got stuck in there. So I departed the bike, but nothing really happened. So jumped right back on, and I was following actually this young kid, and these kids, the local kids, it's like 15 years old, and they are just daredevils. They jump everything, and they just kind of like let it rip downhill. So yeah.
And how about the second half? How did you get through that? I know at the end your lungs were hurting, you're having trouble breathing, your sinuses are bothering you.
Yeah, it's just riding every day in the dust and the high altitude and the dry air. It's just my lungs really hurt. Like I could feel like I have a rock here, and like I'm just coughing out some phlegm shit, and it's difficult breathing. So, and then the hills here, the climbs in the second half. So it started on kind of like a gravel road. The main climb was like 7 miles, that's what it said, but it was actually 8 miles because after the Garmin decided that the climb is over, we were still climbing for another mile. So, like 3.5 miles was on the gravel road, and then we hit the trails, and then it gets really rough and steep. And, you just like imagine that you are doing like a half a mile per hour in your easiest gear uphill, the hardest you can go, and you're doing like 20 RPMs. And then you just kind of like crawling that, like, pushing as hard as you can just to stay on the bike. And then you see there's a rock looking at you, like right in your face, and it's just kind of like, okay, what I'm going to do with you? So you almost have to stop, take a breath, and push it even more and torque it over the rock. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get stuck. Then you start pushing the bike and find a spot. Like typically, when it happens, you jump off and immediately clear the trail if there is somebody behind you to who can pedal 2 more pedal strokes maybe, and then they get stuck too. But that's just kind of how it works, and everybody's pretty nice about it. And so yeah, you just kind of like you find another spot where you can get back on the bike, and it's still very steep, but you just have to immediately just get on going, and then you start pedaling. So at the second half of the day was a lot of steep and rough trails where I have to push the bike several times, more than I would like to, and stuff that I know that if I would be fresh I can still like muscle it through, but it just was not happening. But then the descents, I'm a lot more confident on the descents with my skills this time around compared to last time. So I was always making time on the descents, and actually the last part, which was like descending to the finish, I was able to pass quite a few riders still. And the thing when you look at the profile, and as I mentioned, is like you can see those big climbs, but you don't see those nasty little bitches that like the day it showed like there's like whatever 4 miles downhill to the finish. Well, no, we were still doing some really nasty pitches, going uphill, torquing it on the easiest gear, and working so hard during the downhill. Nothing was on the profile that you could see. It's just that's how it is around here. And yeah, so another tough stage, and just try to wrap my head around how I will feel tomorrow and how I will get to the next day.
So my last question, you've done a lot of stage races. We did the Oat Route, which was 7 days. You did Breck Epic in 23, which was 6 days. You did the Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder, which was
5 days.
5 days. So why do you sign up for these, and how do you keep yourself going?
I don't know. It's just that kind of seeking that challenge, and see if I can do it, and how I can overcome all these tough moments and obstacles. And like today, as I was riding, I was really struggling in some parts, and then was more happy in other parts, and it's just kind of part of the game. And I was just kind of thinking, like, how would you explain what I feel right now to somebody who is not here? And I just realized that you can't, because people can only, like, they can be familiar with, like, oh, mileage, I know what it means. Oh, elevation gain, oh, I know what it means. But you only know what it means in your way, like your experience, like you riding a road bike on the road and you gain some elevation. It's completely different on the mountain bike, and it's completely different on the mountain bike in different locations on different trails. You can have trails that you basically have to kind of like a hop over, rocks and roots, and just you extending so much energy, and you're not going anywhere. I'm looking at the Garmin that shows the climb, and like to do 0.1 mile can take you forever. I'm like looking at it like, come on, just change the number. Nope, it's still the same number because you're going so slow, torquing it in these steep walls that are just ridiculous. So yeah, you can't really explain this unless you are here in this particular race and experiencing it. I've done mountain biking in all kinds of different places, and it all feels different. Like you mentioned, those stage races, they all are different in different levels. Like the Oat Route was extremely difficult for me because the days were long, and we were like 6-7 hours every day, a lot of climbing. It was on the road, but still a lot, so a lot of fatigue, muscle damage. And this is completely different. The Oregon Trail Gravel Grinder was very different too. It's just everything. It has its perks, its difficulties, and I guess that's why I keep signing up for it. Is just kind of see, like, can I still do it? Can I do this challenge? And it is getting harder with age. You know, I can feel it. The recovery is definitely not happening as it was once. You know, a lot easier to recover from day to day. Now it's a lot harder, and I'm just. I mean, you see me when I finish. I'm just like wiped out, and for a few hours, I cannot even think.
Yeah. Well, you're still doing great. You're still holding 8th in your category overall. You were 9th today, so you've been staying top 10 in every stage. So that's awesome.
In my age group.
In your age group.
Yeah.
But so that's great. All right. 2 more stages to go.
All right.